This week we're going to read the Torah portion of Acharei. Acharei means after the death of Aaron's two sons. Now come on, can't we count? We know Aaron had two sons that died. Why does the Torah have to tell us after the death of Aaron's two sons? I mean, there's nothing superfluous in the Torah. It is a perfect, pristine, divine document which communicates us only what we need to know, and it never says something that's unnecessary. So we know there's two sons. Why do we have to be told that? So Rabbi Joseph Karo, halachist, a mystic, who authored this very remarkable diary called Magid Misharim, which an angel actually dictated to him the secrets of Kabbalah. He says the following: that Nadav and Avihu, the two sons of Aaron, had the same soul that was split into two. They really didn't have an entire soul. They had half a soul each. And when they died, the two divided portions of the soul reunited. Acharei Shnei Bnei Aaron, after the death of the duality of the soul of Aaron, it then returned back to its oneness. It was the end of the era of separateness for that soul when it merged back into one unity. Fascinating Kabbalistic insight from the angel of Rabbi Joseph Karo. Now, chapter 16, verse 2, he should not come at all times into the holy. The Zohar speaks, interestingly, about different times of the month, different times of the year which are auspicious, and other times that are not auspicious. Now, of course, in Judaism, we're not superstitious. We don't believe in omens and all this sort of stuff. But the calendar is a cycle of energy, and certain times of the month, certain times of the year are auspicious. They're good days when good energies are flowing, and it's important to take advantage of that. So I'll tell you when they are. According to the Zohar and the writings of the Rizal, the lunar months of Adar, Nisan, and Ian, and Sivan, in which we find ourselves now, are times of mercy. The months of Tammuz, Av, Teves, and Shvat are months of Din, of judgment, and the months of Elul, Tishrei, Cheshvan, and Kislev, judgment is pending. During the lunar month, as you know, the moon gets bigger for the first 15 days of the lunar month, and then it gradually reduces in size. So the first half of the month, when the moon is illuminating, are favorable days. The latter half of the month, when the moon is waning, it's a time of judgment. And there's also good days in the week, according to the Kabbalah. Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday are favorable days, whereas Monday and Thursday are days of judgment. Fascinating revelation from the Zohar. Let's go to chapter 16, verses 12 to 13. We have this idea of ashan, of smoke, which says the Shalah, Rabbi Isaac Horowitz, is an acronym for Olam Shana Nefesh. Olam is space, Shana is time, that really means year, and Nefesh means spirit. Of course, there are 3 dimensions to the universe there, and plus time makes 4 dimensions. But in the world of spirit, we always speak about these 3 dimensions of space, time, and spirit. And they can coincide. On the Day of Atonement, which this Torah portion speaks about, on the holiest day of the year, the holiest man in Israel, the high priest, would enter the holiest place on earth, which is the Holy of Holies. And it's the coincidence of these 3 spheres of existence all aligning themselves at once that produce the power of the Day of Atonement. But you could, use this idea in your own life. Think about it. These are all the barriers that separate us from the infinite. Time, we're limited to time. Space, we're only in one particular space. And our spirit is moody, it's temperamental. Can we bring harmony to these 3 elements? Try and spend at least one time in the day, which is your sacred time. Go to a place which you find sacred and immerse in ideas, spiritual thoughts that you find powerful. The coincidence of all 3 makes it all the more powerful. That's an interesting lesson from the Torah portion. Now, chapter 17, verses 13 to 14, we have a interesting commandment to cover the blood of an animal that's been slaughtered. Now, superficially, this is a kind of respect for animal life, and animals lost its life, and we don't want to just leave its blood spilling all over the place, so we cover it. But there's more to it than that. Italian Kabbalist Rabbi Menachem Rekanati explains that blood is a symbol of gevurah, of judgment. And judgment's not a bad thing. We need to judge things in the world. Decisions need to be made, and positive energies, negative energies, they all need to be put in their right place. But judgment can give rise to the demonic forces, to the klippah. The root of all the power of everything negative in this world comes out of the process of judgment. So even though in itself it's not bad, it can give rise to bad. And that is why we cover the blood. Because we hope that the demonic forces will not nurture, they won't want to suck energy from this gevurah. There's gevurah on the floor, and there's demonic forces hanging around. We don't want them to suck that energy, so we cover it and hope that the demonic forces will look elsewhere. Insight from Rabbi Menachem Rekanati. Now, one of the most interesting parts of this Torah portion is at the end we discuss all the laws of forbidden relations. And this reminds me of a very fascinating insight, very moving insight of Rabbi Isaac Luria, who discusses the incident with Potiphar's wife and Joseph. We know that when Joseph was in the house of Potiphar, his wife made advances, Potiphar's wife made advances to him, and he resisted. But, says the Talmud, Tractate Sota, page 36b, Joseph was actually tempted. And it was a very big test for him. And the Talmud says that he was about to succumb. And he saw the image of his father through the window. And when he saw his father through the window, he restrained himself. Now what is going on here? So the simple surface meaning of this is, well, he saw his father, he was embarrassed, so he decided not to sin. I mean, most of us sin when no one's looking. If someone's looking, it's not as enjoyable. We get embarrassed, we feel shame. So the simple way of learning it is that Joseph felt embarrassed because his father was looking. But why did it have to be his father? Could have been any authority figure. What about his rabbi? What about... the truth is, when anyone's looking, we feel embarrassed to sin. So what is it? Why was it the face of his father? Why wasn't it his whole body? Or there's something to it here. There's something deeper here. So bear in mind that the Talmud says in another place that Jacob actually looked like Adam, the first man. They had the same appearance. Tractate Bava Metzia, page 84a, says that Jacob resembled Adam. So when Joseph saw the image of his father, he didn't just see his father, he saw Adam as well. Adam committed this sin, the sin of the tree of knowledge. And there's this idea that it's the consummate sin, it's the all-encompassing sin. In other words, it was equivalent to the three cardinal sins of idol worship, murder, and adultery. And as I've mentioned before in the Torah in 10, the three reincarnations of Adam into Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were to achieve tikkun, spiritual healing, for these three cardinal sins. And Jacob was there to fix up the sin of adultery. And he did that. In his lifetime, he had fidelity, and he was loyal to his wives, and therefore he fixed up this, he corrected the sin of the tree of knowledge of Adam. And this is what Joseph saw through the window. He was about to succumb. He was tempted. And he sees Jacob through the window, and he reminds himself that Jacob's whole life was a life of fidelity to achieve tikkun for what Adam did wrong. And he realizes that this is his life too. That's what the Jewish people are about. When the Rebbe read this story, the Lubavitcher Rebbe read this story, he commented that we're all children of Jacob. Fidelity and building the family unit in a wholesome way is the mission of the Jewish people. And that is what Joseph was seeing out of the window. And that is why on the Day of Atonement, we always read these laws of forbidden relations. It's a kind of odd thing to read on the holiest day of the year. We start reading this stuff which is, it feels inappropriate. But that's the whole point. That's how we achieve holiness. The greatest spiritual achievement is to build a family, to be loyal to one's spouse, to have a nourished, functional family unit of love, of understanding, of quality time together. That's the mission of Jacob. And that's what we can teach the world and teach to ourselves. Spiritual message for the week. every day should resemble Yom Kippur, and that you are continually purifying your body as a temple to the divine. When you make the right choices with your body, what to feed it, and with whom it may be intimate, your spirit too will be enlivened. Think about that, and please join us again next week for Torah in 10.